Hello everyone, welcome to the BISP solutions. So our today's topic is US GAAP. We'll see an overview about what is US GAAP. Okay, so we are going to start the US GAAP, the different, the US GAAP accounting standard that is known as accounting standard codifications. So US GAAP is generally accepted accounting principles. It is the standard set of accounting rules and guidelines that US companies, including publicly traded companies, government agencies, and non-profits, must follow to ensure consistency, clarity, and comparability in their financial statements. So these principles, they are developed and issued by the Financial Accounting Standard Board, that is FASB, to provide a unified framework for financial reporting. It will allow the investors and creditors and the regulators to make informed decisions based on trustworthy and transparent financial data. So here we'll learn, in our US GAAP, we will learn how to prepare the financial statement and ensure compliance with the US GAAP. We will learn how to analyze the financial data, create the financial statements that meets the need of stakeholders, and make financial decisions. And with the skills and experience, you will gain communication skills, analytical skills, management traits, professional qualification, knowledge of accounting software, industry knowledge. So it's very important to have a knowledge of US GAAP principles. You can become accountant in variety of industries, from finance to healthcare to government. And with the flexibility to work in any industry, you will get opportunities to work for the top multinational companies in the world. So generally accepted accounting principles refers to the accounting rules used in US to report, organize, and present your financial statement to various entities. In this US GAAP sessions, we will be looking at what are the principles of US GAAP from the presentation and accounting perspective. We'll also see 5 broad categories, that is assets, liabilities, revenues, and expenses and equity. And we'll also look at how do the consolidation happens in US GAAP as per the US GAAP. Okay, so this is the basic agenda of the US GAAP, and we'll see how we'll be proceeding, as I said. So there are various accounting standard codifications given, that is ASC. So we are looking at the first accounting standard codification, that is 105. It will cover your history and the hierarchy which is covered in accounting standards under the US GAAP. So it states the accounting standard codification, which is a GAAP history and hierarchy. This standard begins with definition of what is GAAP, and it moves on with the concepts, rules, and definition of terms and examples. So I'll be covering, like I'll be moving on, like I'll tell you what all ASCs are there, how many ASCs will be seeing in under US GAAP, that is accounting standard codification, and we'll give you some overview about it, and in detail that's just we are looking at a glance, and we'll see in future how this will be covered. So one by one we'll be covering with we'll pick one ASC, and then we'll see what does it mean, how what in under US GAAP, how it will be worked on, like if it is presentation of financial statement, how financial statement will be presented, how it will be used, what are the criteria that will be that are required. If you are following accrual basis of accounting, then how you will be preparing your financial statement, and how the presentation will be done so that you can present it ultimately to the investors. So these all topics we'll cover with the examples, and today is just an overview of the US GAAP, how many standard ASCs are there. Okay, so first one is your 105, which tells you the history and hierarchy. So here under this, you will also learn history of GAAP, codification, and how to use them. All these information will help the users, that is creditors, investors, and the regulators, to make informed decision, which is actually the purpose of financial reporting. Okay, here under 105, when we start in detail, we'll see how we can put the comments, what are the rules, definition, and we'll cover some examples also under ASC 105. And these are the remaining accounting standard codifications which we will cover in the US GAAP. First is your accounting standard codification 205, which will tell you the presentation of financial statement. It also describes the benefit of each of the presentation methods, like how you will be presenting your financial statement, how you will preparing it, and how you will present it so that it look pretty simple, and it should follow the accounting standards so that it should align with the remaining accounting standard which have been described. Okay, so like maybe if like in India we follow the accounting standards, okay, so we follow the accounting standards as per the Indian law, but in US we follow the accounting standard as per US GAAP. So in ASC 205, if you want to refer like how you want to present the financial statement, you will be referring ASC 205. Then you have ASC 210, that stands for the balance sheet. So this focus on the presentation aspect of the balance sheet. Balance sheet represents the financial position of the business. It also provides guidance on the offsetting concept of setting of the balance sheet. It represents information about assets, liabilities, owners, equity, and their relationship with each other. So that you will be seeing under ASC 210, that is balance sheet. So you will see what kind of assets, liabilities, owners, equity are there. If they are how they'll show the relationship with each other, how you'll be offsetting it. If there are any intercompany elimination that needs to be taken care of or not, debtors that need to be booked or not. So all are prepared on the accrual basis. And the following that if the assets is being bifurcated into current or non-current, or how you prepare the balance sheet. So everything in detail we'll be seeing here under ASC 210, which is related to the balance sheet. Then ASC 215, which is related to statement of shareholders equity. It provides a referral to ASC 505, that is equity, which also provides comprehensive cross-referencing to the FASB, that is Financial Accounting Standard Board codification system, which will make your research easy and efficient. So when we will see this 215, we will refer parallelly 505, that is equity, because they both are interconnected. Here it shows you the statement of shareholder equity, and in ASC 505 it shows you equity. So equity means your shareholder funds. So it will show you what all will be included under your shareholder funds. Is it your share capital? Is there other shareholder funds that need to be part of your equity, or it's retained earnings? And similarly here it is showing you under 215, it is more linked over to that equity only, because that equity, that is your shareholders fund, here it will need to provide you the statement of the shareholders equity. So these both are the interconnected, ASC 215 and ASC 505, that is equity. Okay, so when we'll do in detail, when we'll cover this ASC, we have to do the cross reference of both the accounting standard codifications. Then we have ASC 225, that is income statement. We learn here everything about the income statement and how useful the income statement is in determining the profitability, creditworthiness, and value for the investment purposes. Also, how useful the income statement is in predicting information about future cash flows based on the past performances. For example, like if there is uncertainty of certain cash flows. Okay, so we'll see everything related to the income statement in accounting standard 225. How incomes will be booked, what kind of incomes will be booked, is it just operational nature income or non-operational nature income, similarly related to the expenses, and are the provisions will be booked or not. So everything related to the income statement we'll see in detail in accounting standard codification 225. Then you have accounting standard codification 230, which shows you the statement of cash flow. So here in this will address the presentation of statement of cash flow classification, of the presentation of statement of cash flow. Then you can classify the cash flow and the different methods. As per the Indian accounting standards, we have seen there are three methods of cash flow. There are various methods, right? You can use the direct method or the indirect method of cash flows. If you are using any indirect method, you show the various, how the cash flow is operating. It is cash flow from operating activities, investing activities, financing activities. So there are two methods, as I say, direct method and indirect method. Similarly, in US GAAP, how the cash flow statement of cash flow will be prepared, what kind of methods will be there? Is it the statement, are the abbreviations or the same terminologies will be used, that is cash flow from operating activities, investing and financing activities, or there will be some different pro forma will be given. So we will see all those details in the ASC 230. Okay, then you have ASC 260, that is earnings per share. This standard provides guidance on computation, presentation and disclosures for earning per share for entities that made filing for public offering for public limited companies. It is they are needed to be disclosed on the face of the company, that is EPS, earning per share. What's the earning of the company as per, and what's the share capital of the company? We divide both of them and then we'll get the earning per share. So that we have to disclose on the face of the company. Okay, so this standard will provide you guidance on how to do the computation, presentation and disclosure for your earning per share for entities that made filing for the public offering for public limited companies. Okay, because it is mandatory for them to disclose the EPS. So they have to anyway calculate the EPS and disclose it on the face of the company. So how to calculate the earning per share and what are the examples, how the presentation will be done, everything for all the detailing will be covered in Accounting Standard Codification 260. Now following on, we have ASC 310, that is accounts receivable. So this standard comprises of 4 subtopics. First, it's your non-refundable fees and other cost and debt securities acquired. Then you have loan and debt securities acquired with deteriorated credit quality and troubled debt restructured by the creditors. In this session, we will see examples on receivables and how bad debts they are being calculated and how they will be recorded, if there is any allowance for bad debt will be given or not, and how this calculation will be driven and how we will record it in our financial statement. All these details related to the accounts receivable we will see under ASC 310, and how the debtors will be considered as a bad debt, what is the criteria for how many days will be given, and then it will be considered as a bad debt. So everything will be, in detail will be covering in ASC Accounting Standard Codification 310. Then you have ASC 323, that is equity method and joint venture. This provides guidance on investment in partnerships or joint ventures. We'll also see scope, exceptions, what is equity method, and accounting of equity method with some examples under this ASC 323. There's one ASC 305, that is cash and cash equivalent, which is not shown in the slide right now. That standard provides implementation guidance on cash on deposits and financial institutions. This standard, that is 305, also talks about the rules and examples of cash and cash equivalents. For example, what is restricted cash, what is cash in transit, and so on. It will cover the various cash and cash equivalents example. Okay, then you have ASC 330. So under ASC 330 is your inventory. So here we'll see different types of inventory measurement from the buyers and sellers perspective, how the inventory is valued. So these all discussions will be covered under your ASC 330. Important terms which are related to the inventory valuation, and basically we'll look how this provides guidance on accounting aspect of the inventory. Okay, so what's the closing inventory, how it will be booked, what is inventory, that is stock in hand, and how many due days you can give it to the because the inventory and your receivables are interconnected. So all those will be covered, and what type of inventory will be booked, or how you will measure the inventory from the buyers and sellers perspective, how you will value it, everything you will be covered in ASC 330. Then you have ASC 350, which stands for goodwill. So here we'll see under this codification what is goodwill and what are the triggering events associated with the goodwill. We'll also see how goodwill is calculated, and with the help of some examples. We'll also see intangibles and their classification. So overall, we'll understand about goodwill and the intangible topic under ASC 350. Then you have ASC 360, that is your property, plant and equipment, which is a part of your fixed asset. Here we'll see cost capitalization of your property, plant and equipment, what is depreciation, how it will be charged, some important terms associated with the depreciation, and various depreciation methods. And we'll take examples, various examples for better understanding. So property, plant and equipment, as you know, it's a part of your fixed asset. If you're when you have purchased the property, plant and equipment, it needs to be capitalized. If you're doing any expenses, or if you're incurring some cost on the maintenance of property, plant and equipment, so whether it needs to be capitalized or it needs to be considered as your revenue expenditure, or if you're incurring some cost on increasing the life of your property, plant and equipment, whether that amount needs to be capitalized or revenue nature should be considered. So all those details we will discuss in ASC 360. So various accounting perspective terminologies will come, various prospects will come related to the property, plant and equipment. That all will be covered under ASC 360. And of course, if ASC 360 is coming, property, plant and equipment, definitely it will show you how depreciation will take place, how many years how you will be depreciating your asset. Is it impairment or is it depreciation? If you're talking about the goodwill, so impairment of asset will be there, or what if it is intangible asset, whether it will be impairment, if it is fixed asset, whether it will be depreciation, or some different terminology will be used. Everything will be detailed in this. We'll be discussing in detail. Then you have ASC 405, that is liability. Here it talks about how to do the measurements, definition and presentation aspects of all the liabilities, whether you are booking it as short-term liability, long-term liability, or current liability or non-current liability. All these things will be taken care under ASC 405. Then you have ASC 430, that is deferred revenue. In the standard, we'll see what is deferred revenue and the conditions for, we'll also see the conditions for unearned revenue, means when the revenue is considered to be unearned, or the earned revenue, when the revenue will be considered to be earned revenue. So both the revenue, we'll see all the revenue recognition criteria also. And in this deferred, when you are deferring your revenue, we are not booking it right now, you'll be deferring it for the future years, in the future prospective years or the upcoming future years. You will be seeing whether how you're booking it as an unearned revenue or as an earned revenue. We'll understand this concept with the help of journal entries, which will help us in better understanding for revenue recognition. Since we follow accrual basis of accounting, not the cash basis of accounting, so in this standard, we will be looking at the deferred revenue aspects, recognition and the presentation and the journal entries. So it's a very important accounting standard codification, that is your deferred revenue. We will cover various aspects, that is your deferred revenue aspects, how to recognize it, how the presentation will be done, and what journal entries needs to be passed for this deferred revenue. Then the next accounting standard codification is 505, which stands for equity. So this provides guidance of stock dividend, stock split, treasury stocks, spin-off and reverse spin-off, and also equity-based payments to non-employees. So we'll understand all the equity terms with examples in detail in this accounting standard codification 505, which will tell you a detailed explanation or it will give you guidance on your stock dividends, stock split, what is stock split, with the examples, what is treasury stock, spin off and reverse spin off, and various equity related payments that you can follow under your ASC 505. And already I have given you the reference that this 505 and the statement of your shareholders equity needs to be cross connected, and we will be seeing it together. Then you have ASC 605. Okay, one accounting standard has been missed, that is ASC 470, that relates to the debt, because as we started with the equity, before that there was one accounting standard 470 which relates to the debt. So we also look at trouble debt restructuring from debtor's perspective and understand how the accounting is done with the help of examples. So we'll see just the debt restructuring process from the debtor's point of view under accounting standard codification 470. Then here we have the next we have is accounting standard codification 605, which shows you revenue recognition. So we'll see here under this accounting standard, new update from FASB, that is Financial Accounting Standard Board. It is an imperative concept. If you recognize your revenue correctly, then your entire revenue recognition process is considered to be accurate. So it's a very important standard for because if you recognize your revenue correctly, accordingly the tax will be calculated. Your financial statement will show you the correct profit. So that's a very important standard to just see how you recognize your revenue. And there are various new updates have been given from the Financial Accounting Standard Board on this particular accounting standard. Okay, then you have next accounting standard as ASC 705. That is your cost of sales and services. So initially ASC 705 was mere a link to the guidance provided in other codification topics. However, for the accounting standard update, which happened on 20th April 2009, this topic was restructured, and now it consists of 2 subtopics. We'll see those subtopics when we are actually doing this standard in the following sessions. So earlier it was just a link, but now it has been updated and it has been included as under ASC 705 with the name as cost of sales and services. Then you have ASC 740, that is your income taxes. So here we will see how the income taxes are computed and reported from the interim reporting perspective. We'll see what are the permanent differences and the temporary differences with examples. So the differences that arise due to the financial accounting and the tax reporting, so that leads to your permanent and temporary differences. So temporary differences are those differences that arise in the now, and you can reverse it in the future period. But the permanent differences are those differences which obviously arise due to the differences between your financial accounting and tax reporting period, the amounts, but it cannot be reversed in the future subsequent periods. Okay, so permanent means if the differences are arising, that has to be lapsed in the same year. It cannot be reversed. But temporary differences will be reversed in the future upcoming years. So we'll see all those details in the income tax accounting standard codification. We'll see what are the temporary differences, what's the example, we'll pick the example, we'll see in detail. Similarly, we'll do it with the permanent differences, and we also see how income tax will be computed, how it will be reported as per the interim reporting perspective also. So that means interim provision topic will also come into the picture. Then you have last accounting standard codification, that is 810. So it stands for consolidation. Here we will see what are the variable interest entities. We'll see when consolidation will happen as per the US GAAP. What are the steps that we need to follow, that is the methods and importance as per the US GAAP. We'll see acquisition method and its accounting in the consolidation topic. So we'll have various consolidation methods. We'll see all those consolidation methods, how the reporting will be done, how the accounting will be done as per the consolidation, what will be the examples of it, what steps what steps needed to be followed to perform this consolidation process. if there is if the subsidiary parent relationship is there, or joint venture is there, or proportional method of consolidation, or equity method of consolidation. So various methods of consolidation we'll see, and how according to each method of consolidation we'll prepare the consolidated financial statement. That all things will be covered in accounting standard codification 810. Okay, so these all over your accounting standard codification that we need to cover under the US GAAP. So we will be covering in detail one by one in the upcoming sessions. Now, as I'm talking about the first accounting standard codification, that is 105, it talks about the history and hierarchy. So that's only here we'll cover under ASC 105, history and hierarchy, and what are the objectives of US GAAP. So US GAAP, it refers to accounting principle and rules to prepare, present and report a financial statement for various entities such as publicly traded companies, non-profit organizations and your government entities. Now US GAAP, this term is basically confined to the US and abbreviated as US GAAP. But the term GAAP includes the entire accounting industry rather than only the US. So where auditor issues an opinion on the organization financial statements, they make statement about the GAAP complied or not. So when auditor have to issue an opinion, obviously auditor takes an consideration whether the GAAP have been followed or not, they have been complied or not, the particular company have followed the GAAP principles or not. So this US GAAP is very important to be followed by the publicly traded companies, that is public companies. For private companies, US GAAP has certain other bodies that sets the accounting policies and procedures, which we'll see later in the upcoming sessions. So US GAAP cover topics such as mark to market, revenue recognitions, outstanding share measurements, balance sheet, P&L. We have seen the various accounting standards. These are only the US GAAP topics that we need to cover. So this is your history and hierarchy. Now under your objectives of US GAAP, US GAAP is designed to serve external decision makers, that is creditors and potential investors. Financial statement, that is the end product that goes to the investors that we prepare, it should be consistent and it should be comparable. For example, if you are comparing two different companies, it is essential that they are from the same industry. So financial statement should be comparable and reliable. It should also be free from error. So financial statement should have elements that faithfully represent your financial position and performance of the company. Basically, if anyone is looking at financial statement which follow the US GAAP, so anyone means the investor or the creditors, it should provide the basis for decision making. Your financial statement should give the basis for decision making. It can be non-material as well. So the provided information in the financial statement, it should be related to the economic resource, the claims to those resources, along with the changes occurring in them. So the information should be helpful to provide business performance in maintaining the records. If in financial statement there is an error and it is a material error, then it should concern the investors and auditors about the company's performance and the business benefits. So financial statement will tell you everything in detail. What's the position of the company, if there is any error, it should be error free, it should be comparable to the industry standards. So the objective of US GAAP is to ensure that the financial statements provided to the investors, they are accurate and free from errors. If errors surpass the industry standard threshold applicable to that company, they may be deemed material and it will potentially violate the US GAAP rules and regulations. So investors who are considering your funds should receive sufficient information to make informed decisions and to assert their investment rights, which ultimately will enhance the business performance from a business perspective. Financial statement, it will also serve as a record maintenance tool, because we maintain all the records that is related to your assets, related to your liabilities, related to your incomes, expenses, related to your equities. the shareholder funds, any profit what is deriving from the companies, the net profit percentage, earning per share, everything. So it is known as record maintenance tool. Investors need to be served in such a way that creditors can make a proper decision. They can claim to those resources which they have invested, and from a business perspective, it also includes the business performance. So it also serves as a record maintenance tool. So when you have financial statement, you will also have the rules such as for retention of the financial statement. So you cannot just discard them at the year end. You need to preserve them. Preserve them means the financial statement for a prescribed period as per the regulatory requirements. So the objective of the US GAAP is also the maintaining the record of financial statement pertaining to the company. So now here are some takeaways that we have discussed related to the objects of US GAAP. So financial statement should be consistent, comparable and reliable. Financial statement should be free from error. It should provide basis for the decision making. It should also be used as a record maintenance tool. So these are your takeaways from what are the objectives of your US GAAP and the importance of the financial statement as per your Accounting Standard Codification 105. Okay. Now there were some abbreviations that I will tell you that will be if you are working for a company which deals in US products and services. So they have a majority of US investors. So these particulars abbreviations are very commonly used. There are some important abbreviations which everyone should know before moving ahead. So first is your US GAAP. GAAP is generally accepted accounting principles. Then mostly you will hear about ASC, that is Accounting Standard Codification. I have referred ASC multiple times. So the full form of it is Accounting Standard Codification. Then you have FASB, that is Financial Accounting Standard Board, which have derived these codifications which have been given by the FASB only. So that is your Financial Accounting Standard Board. Then you have APB, that is Accounting Principles Board. Then you have SFAS, that is Statement of Financial Accounting Standard. You will be hearing EITF, that is Emerging Issue Task Force. Then you will also be hearing ASU, that is Accounting Standard Update. So these are some of the abbreviations that you will be hearing in the upcoming sessions. I'll repeat it. First is the most common one that you will be hearing is your Accounting Standard Codifications. Then the next you will be hearing FASB, that is Financial Accounting Standard Board. You have APB, that is Accounting Principles Board. So these are the most common one, and US GAAP, that is a General Accepted Accounting Principles. So these are important when you work in the US GAAP environment. Now financial standard. So here it will tell you all the securities in the US, they are governed by SEC rules and regulations. SEC rules and regulations. So in India it is SEBI. Okay, however in US it is SEC. So the Security Exchange Commission. In public companies, specific accounting bodies are there. You see, SEC is your Securities Exchange Commission. It was established in 1934 under the Security Exchange Act. In India, as I said, we have SEBI that we follow for securities exchange. So there are several boards which have been defined. Public Companies Specific Accounting Rule Board is FRR. Okay. The rules for the interpretive releases that we'll be using is IRR, that is interpretive releases. Rules for interpretative releases. Then you have Emerging Issues Task Force, that is EITF. So these are the various boards or the bodies that have been created for the financial accounting standard. Okay, mostly now it has been FASB, that is Financial Accounting Standard Board. There were so many accounting heads, but now you have Financial Account FASB. Accounting standard codification now become official single source of authoritative GAAP on 1st July 2009 to provide the guidance for accounting principles. Accounting and financial reporting practices which are not included in the codifications, they are considered to be non-GAAP. Any deviation from this rule will result in non-GAAP procedure, which can result into heavy GAAP penalty. Now, why codification? That is, again and again I am using the term ASC, that is accounting standard codification. Now, why codifications were introduced? Codifications did not change the GAAP, but rather introduce a new structure which is deemed as an organized, easily accessible, user-friendly online research system. So standard setting bodies releases various standards. So it was very complicated for users, or you can say investors, creditors. Then from 1st July 2009 to understand, like the standard setting body, they mainly the investors to understand which standard to follow at a particular point of time. Like if they want to refer to statement of shareholders equity, or they want to refer to consolidation, which standard to follow. There were multiple standards, but from 1st July 2009 FASB released this codifications was released, and it became the user friendly and easily accessible. The codification recognized the large number of discrete US GAAP pronouncements into roughly 90 accounting topics and display all the topics using consistent and an organized structure. CC codification did not change the GAAP, but rather introduced a new structure which is deemed as an organized, easily accessible, user-friendly online research system. And the codification recognizes the large number of discrete US GAAP pronouncement into roughly 90 accounting topics, and it displays all the topics using a consistent and organized structure. That's why we use the codification. If you are an auditor auditing your financial statement before 2009, standards came up with codifications. Now we should know how to use that codification, how to check ASU codification, how to do how do they work, and all those information if you want to see, that we'll see in accounting standard codifications. Now like in presentation of balance sheet, if you want to see, like you have various accounting codifications with the numbers, like accounting codification 105. So it will tell you what's US GAAP. It will, if you want to know the overview of it, what's the history, why the codification came into the picture, any generic information if you want related to the account codification, you will refer to this 105 account codification. You will get all these information, because we are till now we are covering this 105 only, if you remember. ASC 105 history and hierarchy, where it will get till now whatever we have covered, it give you the history, it give you what is US GAAP, what's the overview, the generic codification, every detail you will get in ASC 105. Now if you want to see the topic code 205 to 299, that is related to the presentation. Now presentation, it can be related to the presentation of the balance sheet. So now again the presentation of balance sheet will vary for the private companies and for the public companies. Okay, so private companies presentation will vary, and the public companies will have to follow some different procedure for presentation of balance sheet. Okay. Now presentation of balance sheet can be on the on liquidation basis, on ascending order, descending order. So now in the presentation of balance sheet, if you want to refer, I'm just telling you what topic code you need to refer. Okay, so how balance sheet will be presented, what needs to be taken care of for the presentation of balance sheet, what needs to be taken care of for public companies, if you are a private company, what things needs to be taken care of. So all these codifications will be given, but the main important now accounting standard codification is like you see presentation of balance sheet, that we have already discussed, because 210 was related to the history and hierarchy that we have covered. Now the next that we'll be seeing in the upcoming sessions, that is accounting standard codifications 205, that is your presentation, how your financial statement will be presented, and the so on will be proceeding with the next codification. So these are the list of codifications that we have to cover under US GAAP. BISP, so that the shareholders, we need to present the financial statement, which comprise of a balance sheet and statement, cash flow, the consolidated financial statement, accounts, and it should be audited and it should be presented to the shareholders or the stakeholders. And these all will be presented and prepared as using the US GAAP. And under US GAAP, you need to use these all accounting standard codifications. Okay, so that was all for today. I've given you a overview about what is there under the US GAAP, what are the takeaways, why financial statement need to prepare, what each accounting standard codification will tell you about. These were your takeaways, and there were various boards were there. When it was created, when it was developed, what abbreviations will be using it, and how codification came into the picture, and what were the objectives of the US GAAP. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you all for your time. If you have any questions, please contact BISP Solutions for more information.